This is Breaking the Set. So I woke up this morning to horrific news. The U.S. drone had killed yet another 6 human beings in Yemen. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say human beings? I meant Al-Qaeda militants, all apparently worthy of execution without trial. And even though the Obama administration touts the waning down of its drone war, this latest strike comes on the heels of one of the deadliest attacks of drone strikes since the initiation of the program. Yes, Easter weekend saw multiple strikes in Yemen that left over 55 people dead, according to AP. This ongoing massacre is sponsored by our tax dollars, yet Americans remain largely unfazed by killer robots that terrorize people in the Middle East on a weekly basis. But perhaps the apathy over this issue would end if Americans came face to face with similar unmanned machines here at home that also have deadly potential, which is exactly what happened when a 50-person jet nearly collided with a drone over Tallahassee, Florida last week. Yes, Jim Williams of the Federal Aviation Administration was forced to address this near-deadly disaster and highlighted the danger posed by drones in U.S. skies, saying, quote, the risk for a small unmanned aircraft system to be ingested into the passenger airline engine is very real. And considering that according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, there will be 30,000 commercial drones in U.S. skies by 2020, that danger is poised to multiply. So whether we're talking about predator drones executing civilians in the Middle East or unmanned aircrafts manning American skylines, drones are becoming increasingly dangerous for all of us on the ground and in the sky. So if you believe the drone industrial complex is getting out of control, then join me. You've come to the right place. Let's break the set. So finally, good news to report, guys. I'm not being sarcastic here. In a huge victory for the people, the state of Vermont just passed the nation's very first law requiring the labeling of genetically modified organisms or GMOs. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin signed the bill into law last Thursday and said in a statement, "We believe we have a right to know what's in the food we buy." This is a significant step in the fight for transparency over the food Americans consume, considering how legislation has failed time and time again. As you can see on this map, California and Washington voters both attempted to pass ballot initiatives on the matter and were unsuccessful. Connecticut and Maine, on the other hand, did pass legislation, but it's contingent on multiple other states to pass the requirement before their own go into effect. And the states in blue are all ones considering similar legislation, according to a recent report by the Council for Agricultural Science and Technology. But the biggest barrier to getting these bills passed has been the stranglehold of the political process from Monsanto and other giant ag corporations that have either invested millions of dollars to muddy the debate or outright threatened to sue states considering labeling legislation. And now that Vermont has taken the leap, the state is expecting the wrath of Monsanto on its doorstep. Vermont State Attorney General Bill Sorrell told Vermont Public Radio that he would be very surprised if the state isn't sued, which is why the bill also set up a $1.5 million legal defense fund to prepare for retaliation from Monsanto. Of course, the defenders of the industry are still propagating the myth that consumers will ultimately lose by causing food prices to rise, but that argument doesn't hold much water, considering how all that would need to be done is a one-time repackaging fee for the industry to manufacture their products. And despite this enormous win on the East Coast, America as a whole is behind the curve on the issue. Almost every other industrialized country in the world has taken precautionary measures and have already required mandatory labeling or outright banned GMOs from their respective countries. Here in the U.S., however, Monsanto alone controls 80% of the corn, 93% of the soy. Both these GMO components make up the base of almost every processed food item in this country. And when polled, Americans overwhelmingly want labeling. Just last year, a New York Times study found that 93% of people in the U.S. support it. Look, whether or not you agree with harms associated with GMOs, I think all of us can agree with the fact that every consumer deserves the right to know what they're eating. So let's build the momentum. Start to take back ownership of our rights, our lives, and our bodies. So big congrats to Vermont for leading the charge and setting an example for the rest of the country. Guys, last week a miracle took place in Congress. See, the House Intelligence and Judiciary Committees just passed the USA Freedom Act. The bill, known for its endorsements from top proponents of NSA reform, including NSA whistleblower himself, Edward Snowden. That's right, a bill with 150 bipartisan co-sponsors and no legislative rivals has emerged in the House, positioned to lead to true reform of the NSA. But of course, like every reform bill passed in Congress, the so-called victory is really just a giant smokescreen. In fact, although Snowden initially endorsed the bill, last week the House Judiciary Committee gutted much of its original language and replace it with much weaker reforms. In fact, noted NSA apologist Representative Mike Rogers voted for the bill himself, which should be enough to tell you how much reform this bill is actually pushing. So to break down the co-option of the USA Freedom Act and what it means to dismantle the spine grid, RT political commentator Sam Sachs. Sam, any bill that has the word freedom in it, we should trust, right? We've learned from the Patriot Act. I mean, no, seriously though, let's start with what the bill started off as, what Edward Snowden actually endorsed, to what it's become today.
Well, the original USA Freedom Act was introduced in the Senate, and it was originally introduced in the House. Came as a surprise to civil libertarians and privacy advocates. It was unusually strong for what they expected Congress was going to do, especially people who think that the NSA is impervious to reform at this point. It included ending the NSA's bulk collection of telephone records. It included a prohibition on the backdoor search loophole. This is what Senator Ron Wyden warned the NSA was doing, how they were spying on Americans by going into these databases that had inadvertently collected Americans' communications. It ended that. It also included a bunch of new reporting requirements to require the government to add transparency to these programs to reveal how many people are caught up in their sort of surveillance machine here. And it garnered the support of Edward Snowden. Just a week and a half ago, he accepted the Ridenhour Prize here in Washington, D.C. via video link and said, we need to support the USA Freedom Act. So what happened is the Judiciary Committee says, all right, we're going to take action on the Freedom Act, we're going to pass it out of committee. But what happens on the committee is that they don't have enough votes to pass it as is, so they completely rework the bill, they gut it, they replace it with new language, they strip out that prohibition on backdoor search loopholes, they take out a bunch of the reporting requirements, and they add some vague language when it comes to undoing the telephone call records bulk collection program. What should really have reformers concerned is that this new USA Freedom Act that was weakened by the Judiciary Committee was immediately passed then by the House Intelligence Committee. Mike Rogers, who you mentioned, he dumped his own NSA bill, which many thought was a goodie bag for the NSA, and threw his support now behind this USA Freedom Act. So in less than 2 weeks, you have Mike Rogers supporting a bill that Edward Snowden supported once. It shows how that bill changed over the course of 2 weeks.
Amazing. Thanks for breaking that down. And let's talk about the bulk collection of data, because that's really the crux of this issue here, Sam. Supporters of the new bill claim that it will limit the NSA's ability to collect bulk data. And then there's also opponents of the bill who are saying this actually might give the NSA more power and the telecom industry more power.